Oh, time to review Until Dawn. See, now everything works because Until Dawn demands it to be worked. Now, I knew I'd like this game, and I did. I really enjoyed this game. There's a lot of things to talk about with this game too, in positives and negatives. Though I don't exactly start with the positives. Game looks great for most part. Every actor looks pretty good. There is some uncanny valley. Well, there's a lot of uncanny valley, but in the psychiatrist character, a lot of the way he looks around, I don't. It's weird. It doesn't fit right. It doesn't work right. The big uncanny valley problem, maybe you can see in this scene, is if you look at people's eyes, like their actual eyes, their eyeball part of their eye, they don't really move. And in the same way, this is a problem I have with a lot of media, actually, is that somehow every character in this story and in all movies and TV shows is they all have this perfect eye contact that's like 100% looking at and they never look around. They never like lie and look down, especially in video games. No one ever looks to the side or like their eyeballs don't move. And when you're having something realistic like this, you can see her eyeballs kind of moving around, but they don't fit right and they look weird. And actually, this is probably one of the better scenes in the game for eyeballs looking around, which is a dumb sentence. But I don't buy a lot of these character reactions in terms of eye contact. Like I can't even look at this camera 100% of the time. You expect every single person in every piece of media to always be looking at each other straight in the eyes all the fucking time. It's crazy. It's a crazy expectation. We'll actually move on from that. I love how this story unfolds. I'm not a big horror movie fan, so if there's a lot of tropey stuff in this, I don't necessarily know it. I've seen Psycho and The Shining, and I've seen Scary Movie like 1 and 2. That's my experience with horror. Not very experienced with horror, but I love the branching paths and what they do and how you can kind of not necessarily customize the characters, but lead them down paths. There's a lot of things in looking at the wiki. There's a lot of things. Oh, if you do this, what happens? What does that mean? Does this actually have an effect? And that's where one of my first complaints comes in, is that this is touted as being, the butterfly effect. You do something here, it affects something over there that you didn't even know. And yes, that's true. But overall, this game is going to end with the characters in the same places, right? Um, there might be four of them there, or there might be 2 of them there, but they're gonna be there, right? Um, 2 characters can't even die until basically the very end. Um, and and even when a character dies and they're absent from a scene, you don't miss anything. Like there's nothing. The scene isn't vastly different because of this, and that's understandable. But when something is touted as being so different and so branching, I don't buy it. I don't buy that it is that branching. I've seen the variations and how you came to the end, and what happens, and no, nothing happens because they split the party up so often that even if someone was missing, the entire other half of the game isn't impacted. So that's not a split, really. That's not a split in terms of if someone dies over here, no one's going to know. And when it gets to the end, there's 2 people that could have died that are grouped together, and they never meet back up with anyone else. So they don't know. So the entirety of their writing is done and does not have any effect. Similarly with the ending, there's no wrap up. There's no, oh, we survived, let's all talk to each other now. There's none of that because that's super complex when you have 8 characters and one of them's crazy. Well, that's kind of a spoiler. Well, they're all stupid also. The first, I don't know, 3 or 4 chapters, I was like, I don't like any of these people. But I came around. And to talk about good parts of this, skip ahead to a different part here. There. What I do like about this is in a large part a Resident Evil game in various sections, specifically when you're playing with this guy. and you're in where is it? It's like this mental hospital, and you're walking around, and it's so good, and it's so Resident Evil, and it's got the camera angles. You realize games don't have those Resident Evil camera angles that are like a camera nowadays is first person or third person, or it's a guy and you can swivel the camera around him. But to have these camera angles like this where it's cinematic and you can watch them like go down the stairs and you're not sure what's happening. There's things on the other side that you can look at. It's so good. And I really, really, really hope that Capcom not only played the shit out of this game, that they are looking at this and going like, how can we adapt some of this into Resident Evil? Because that's what I want to see. Um, it's so close to being an amazing Resident Evil game. Obviously, there's no combat. There's quick time events, and that's interesting. But I love Resident Evil, and to see something like this, it's very interesting. It's scary. It's a lot of jump scares though. Like it is jump scare, jump scare, jump scare, jump scare, to the point of where sometimes something would jump out at me, and I'm just like, I get it, you're jumpy. Oh, God, I don't have time to be scared every 5 minutes. Um, but it's very interesting and how the story unfolds. And even though the branching paths I don't think really amount to much story wise that is different, they are still very interesting in seeing how it plays out. And I was interested after I beat the game to go back onto the wiki and see, well, what happens if I did this? You know, and I'd see things where it was like, if I had messed up this quick time event, they would have died. I was like, whoa, I didn't think so. Well, that's crazy. And then there's other things where people are always trying to climb rocks for some reason, and there's always an option for, do you want to jump or do you want to be shimmy along the rocks constantly? I don't know if these are places where like 20 times during the game you could have died. I know a couple specifically are, but it's really good. And all like finding the clues is interesting. Finding out what happened, it doesn't necessarily go where you think it's gonna go. Um, like it does, and then it goes somewhere else. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And even towards the end, when it's not as scary, still very fun, very interesting to play. I really enjoy this game. It's probably one of my top 10 games of the year, which I will be doing hopefully Game of the Year next week. And this will be on there. And yes, I did scare her into the water. And no, that's the thing with the branching butterfly effects. She didn't seem that pissed off. She also didn't seem to be freezing to death in the way that she probably should have, since she got all wet in the tundra, basically. Canada's the tundra. It's cold. But still, really enjoyed it. Really good game. Merry Christmas. I played it around Christmas. It's a very good Christmas game. No, not a good Christmas game.